Hello, Elder Smith here. Today I'll be continuing on with the 10th chapter of Genesis. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Medea, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tares. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, and Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided, and their lands, every one after his tongue, and after their families, and their nations. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, Havilah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Sabteka. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth, and he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Asher, and builded Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludin, and Anamnim, and Laban, and Naphtuhim, and Pathersim, and Calahim. I just would like to make mention, I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing some of them, but as you probably already know, some of these names, they're not the easiest names in the world to pronounce. Out of whom came Philistim, and Caphtorim, and Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Samorite, and the Hamathite, and after were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboam, even unto Lasha. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, and their tongues, and their countries, and in their nations. Unto Shem also, the father of all children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were the children born. The children of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz, and Hul, and Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. And Joktan begat Almadad, and Sheleph, and Hazarmeth, Mepheth, and Jerah, and Hadaram, and Uzal, and Diklah, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab, and all these were the sons of Joktan. And their dwelling was from Mesha, as thou goest unto Sephar, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, and their tongues, and their lands after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, and their nations. By these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. And the earth, and the whole earth, was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Now, about this particular event, it isn't just the fact that they were building a tower within the city whose top may reach unto heaven, but it's also, once again, the reason they were doing it. And the reason has to do with the final thing that they mentioned, which was for them to make a name for themselves. When you make a name for yourself, you want that name to be known throughout far and wide. Now, I'm of the belief, I truly believe this, that when they were building this great city and this tower, they were doing it so that the people that wanted to make a name for themselves, would be seen as gods, because according to the majority, I wouldn't say all, because I don't know if it's true for all religions, but for at least a good number of them, one thing that they all have in common is, if you're considered a god, you must dwell up in heaven or in the heavens in some way, shape, or form. And that's why they wanted this high tower that reached unto heaven, because there's not a doubt in my mind that at the top of this tower is where they were going to make their homes. This is where these people wanted to make a name for themselves, so that when these people hear of this city all around the world, and they would recognize that if whoever dwelt at the top of this tower, these people must be gods. And that's where they ended up going wrong with this idea, because to build and try to build anything that reaches unto heaven, you're trying to lift yourself up, and trying to make a seat for you that's equal or parallel to God's seat, and that's wrong. Now, is it possible for them to literally reach unto heaven? No, not really. Nobody could ever reach that high physically. I mean, yeah, it's true. There is space and all that, but heaven is a kingdom that cannot physically be reached by trying to build upward. However, that doesn't change the fact that the world would still look upon them and see these people as gods. Take the Greeks, for example. I know the Greeks didn't exist yet at this time, but they believed that the gods dwelt in Mount Olympus, and it's a mountain that they could climb, but at the top they believed that's where the gods dwelt. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that the people would think that whoever dwelt at the top of this tower would be seen or acknowledged as gods as well. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Let us go down there and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the whole earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 530 years and begat Salah. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Salah 403 years and begat sons and daughters. I would like to make a quick I'd like to mention right now that if you notice by the years in which they're starting to live, that their lifespan is now starting to decline. They're now in the 400 years, and they're no longer living to be 900 and some years anymore like they were before. So as time goes on, their lives, the amount of time that they live is now decreasing. And Salah lived 30 years and begat Eber. And Salah lived after he begat Eber 403 years and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 430 years and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years and begat sons and daughters. I may have made a mistake there. My math is a bit off. I read that wrong. I think that they are still around 800 years. If he said that says that Eber lived 430 years, but then he lived after he begat Peleg 400 years, so that's around 800 years. So you'll have to forgive me. My math is a bit off right there at that point. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years and begat sons and daughters. And Reu lived 230 years and begat Serug. And Serug lived after he begat Serug 270 years and begat sons and daughters. Okay, this is where their lifespan is starting to decrease now. And Serug lived 30 years and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years and begat sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. and the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. And Sarai was barren; she had no children. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, and his son Abram's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So this is where I'm going to end the reading for today. We've now reached the point where Abram's now in the picture. And you must remember, God made the promise to send down his only begotten son. He made this promise to Adam and Eve. But now that the world is divided, now that all the languages are confounded, now that these nations and these countries and these kingdoms are starting to rise up, now is the time where God is going to set the stage for the coming of Jesus. But this is a long-term plan here. This is going to take centuries before Jesus arrives. But this right here is the first step. I thank all of you for listening, and I thank you for, if you are still watching this video, I thank you for bearing with me as I struggled to pronounce those names. I have some serious doubts. I pronounced very many of them correctly, as I had mentioned already. But anyways, may God continue to bless you as you continue to study, as you read God's written word, and you seek the truth and ask God to reveal the truth to you. Remember to study to show thyself approved, rightfully dividing the word of truth. Put on the whole armor of God and fight the good fight.